welcome to the channel Trickle Down Philosophy. Everything is philosophically oriented, whether science, theology, psychology, anything. It all involves thought. This one caught my attention. YouTube makes suggestions, and this was on the Nephilim. And the Nephilim were always oddballs because they are. And if you're a fan of the Bible, whether Hebrew Bible, the New Testament, the Nephilim were, one idea of the Nephilim were that they were these angels cast out of heaven, and they became the bad guys, so they were cast down to earth, and then they had intercourse with the women, and they gave birth to very large offspring. And so they were considered giants. And I just looked this up very quickly. They're mentioned in 1 Chronicles, 2 Peter, 2 Peter's in the New Testament, 2 Samuel, Daniel, Deuteronomy, Job, and Jude. And Jude's the New Testament. So primarily the Hebrew Bible, and then they were referenced in the New Testament. And I just like to open things up to discussion. I'm agnostic. I don't hardcore not believe in God. I don't hardcore believe in God. I just simply say I don't have enough information on stuff. The quote-unquote sacred texts don't do it for me anymore in terms of being dispositive of anything. But there's some good ideas in there. That's where I come down on it. But I used to run in pretty hardcore Christian circles. And then it was actually through extensive research trying to prove certain things that I went up disproving the very things because the text just did not support what I believed about the text themselves. So let's see what this gentleman's got to say on Sean Ryan's show.
I think we're in those times. And I think every great civilization has had these times. From Sodom and Gomorrah to the Great Flood to flood out the Nephilim, the giants that walked the earth. History just repeats itself.
What are the giants?
Well, according to the Bible, when the third of the angels were casted out of heaven and sent here, they loved women and they wanted to have babies with women. So they had babies. Those babies came out to be big giants and they roamed the earth. That's why they were destroyed. It was not supposed to be that way. So they were destroyed in the Great Flood. According to the Bible, some religions or Indian beliefs is that these giants are things that came down, were not angels. They're aliens or star people, mated with the female and had star children. Other religions.
Okay, real quick. You could see why people would have a problem believing that people are rational or logically oriented or something when these stories are being passed off as truth. I'm not making a commentary on the veracity of what I'm hearing. Obviously, I have my thoughts on it, but I'm speaking to people getting along with one another or understanding why somebody might not accept this as a good account of how things work and why it might impugn the veracity of the texts themselves. When you hear this, and now we've got aliens, and we've got this and who, and these spirited beings managed to have intercourse with women, and then they had giants, and then the flood did this. Just when you hear it presented like this, you could say you might have a bit of compassion for people who are atheists. I'm not atheist, I'm agnostic. I leave the possibility open, but you could see also why I don't accept the texts as accurate accounts of social dynamics, let alone the scientific dynamics, say the Earth being 6,000 years old or what have you. You could see why it would impugn the veracity of rationality in some ways.
Believe that some beings came down from the heavens and advanced our civilization, taught us technology, taught us makeup, taught us all these things that separated us from the true innate light.
Okay, now I didn't see the whole interview here, so he might just be recounting what people believe about it and not necessarily that he himself believes it. He gave a broader range of what the Nephilim are, or whether, some Indians believe aliens or this group believes that and all that stuff. So this may not have been his view. So I am not disparaging anything that he said. I'm looking at the presentation of thought and where people who might just be exposed for the first time to what Christians or Jews or different religions might believe about the Nephilim these spirit beings that came down, and then they're like, oh, we like these women, we're going to have intercourse, and they gave birth to giants, and this kind of talk, you're like, oh, okay. There needs to be more to the picture for me to believe that, because so far there's zero credibility on that. That's how a number of folks would legitimately look at it. And I'm not saying that they're right. I'm saying that as a matter of human curiosity, as a matter of trying to line up ideas with experience and potential disconnect there or dissonance, it could be difficult to sort of get across the bridge to saying, okay, there were these invisible or other types of otherworldly beings that decided to come down to our little place in the universe, and they liked what they saw in the women. That part I can understand. But then they gave birth to giants. Why didn't they give birth to dogs? Why did they always give birth to humans? Why didn't they look at, say, German shepherds or whatever animals or birds? Why didn't they want to go with them? That's equally valid. I mean, we're partial to human beings. I mean, we guys are certainly partial to the women, so the story itself would make sense. Women are used to being loved and adored. At least they want to be. And so the idea that these very special former angels that got kicked out of heaven, that are now the bad guys, sort of embrace them. It might tickle our egos in some ways, but why didn't they see, if they, even according to this story, if we're going to go along with it and accept certain of the premises, we say, all right, why didn't they find animals attractive? What is it? I mean, I'm certainly partial to women and my species. That's how it works. But they didn't seem to have, I mean, these were super angelic or angelic beings, as it's theorized. So they really kind of could have gone anywhere. Why women? Why not lions or tigers? I mean, those are badass beings already. So why not give birth to super tigers? But this is just sort of where you can go when you have a curious and philosophically minded mind. And then you look at the nature of arguments, no matter what the premises are. If you have somewhat of a neutral stance, you can look at them and say, okay, why not this? Why not this? Why not this? But you can certainly understand why people would reject based on experience and what it sounds like to grown-up ears who had not been previously exposed to this as children, where you tend to believe things more readily and more continually throughout life because it's already embedded in your psyche. You can understand why people would say, all right, cuckoo, like, I can't accept that. So anyway, leave your thoughts, guys, and try to leave them sort of in a kind way so that we're not overly combative, because we could just present our ideas in ways that enable discussion about them so people can formulate their own ideas. Have a great day, folks. See you on another video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and keep thinking philosophy.